and welcome to the Daily Broadcast News. I'm your host, Zara Campbell, and today we will be exploring the Battle of Crete. The Battle of Crete was a significant battle of the Second World War, but to learn about it, you must understand the events that happened prior to it. On the 20th of October 1940, Italy declared war on Greece, and Britain began sending military aid. Hitler became fearful of them setting up bombing bases in Greece and attacking the oil fields in Romania, which were a vital resource for Germany and their planned attack on the Soviet Union, so he ordered an invasion of Greece. A force consisting of primarily the Australian 6th Division, the AIF, and the New Zealand Army was deployed to Greece in March of 1941. After the fall of mainland Greece, Crete became their new target. The Germans, who were winning the war in early 1941, wanted Crete because it was a good base in the Mediterranean and prevented the British using it to launch operations in the Balkans. The remainder Allied troops deployed to defend the island, and the invasion was meant to be a surprise attack, but the British had cracked the Nazis' Enigma codes and gained advanced knowledge of the invasion. The battle was one of the most dramatic of the Second World War, lasting between the 20th of May and 1st of June 1941. The Germans launched their largest airborne invasion ever on Crete with a heavy air raid by the Luftwaffe, which aimed to bypass the British naval fleet. It was called Operation Mercury and was led by General Stuart. They aimed to land in 3 areas, sending over 1,500 soldiers by air, and another 7,000 reinforcements who came later by sea. The aim of each area was to gain control of the airfields for a steady supply of resources. The German paratroopers experienced massive casualties upon their landing, and the survivors were left with limited weapons to attack with. The Germans experienced no gains in the early stages of the battle and were no match for their allies led by Commander Freiberg. However, on the 22nd of May, a key turning point in the battle occurred when the New Zealand troops retreated from Hill 107. This gave the Germans the upper hand and they were able to seize control of the airfields in Malmö. This enabled the Germans to send a fresh supply of troops and resources. The Allies quickly learned the Germans were superior in number and defence, and on the 29th of May they ordered a retreat. They were sent to the southern port of Slovakia, where the Royal Navy fleet would dispatch them to Egypt. At the town of Babali Kahani, the Allied troops were left fighting at half capacity and gave the evacuation as much time as possible. This was known as the Battle of 42nd Street. The Allies had fully retreated from Crete by the 1st of June 1941. The Battle of Crete was important to the Axis powers as it gave them a strong base in the Mediterranean and North Africa theatre of war. It was the biggest air-raided attack seen in the Second World War and caused massive casualties to both sides. The campaign was ultimately a success for the Germans, however, they suffered severely from it, experiencing over 6,000 casualties and extensive loss of aircraft. It changed the way the Germans fought the war as future air-raided attacks were stopped. However, the Allies were inspired by the Germans' use of paratroopers and began to build up their own airborne forces, which were a huge success and a crucial part to their victory later in the war. The Cretan people had aided the Allies in the defence of their island and gave the Germans the biggest resistance they'd ever seen from a defending country. The result of the battle significantly affected the Cretan people, as the Germans, who occupied their land, were severely punishing the civilians and in extreme cases launching mass executions. During the battle, the soldiers experienced mostly mild weather conditions, although a sandstorm interrupted the landing of one of the German troops. A close bond formed between Australia and Greece from their key assistance in the defence of their country, which is still strong today. The Allies lost territory in the battle and experienced the fall of an Allied country, losing some power and strategic bases. Over 4,000 Australians were killed in the combat and 83% of the survivors were captured as prisoners of war. The army was left weakened, severely reduced in size, and lost 13 naval ships. Although the Allies were unsuccessful in their defence of Crete, it was a critical battle in their success of the war. It led to the fatal delay of the Nazis' invasion of the Soviet Union, Operation Barbarossa, and gave the Soviets time to mobilise and strengthen their army. It also meant the German troops were bound to invade the Soviet Union during its brutal winter. This was a major turning point for the entire war, as the Nazis were unequipped for the winter, resulting in many deaths and the eventual failure of the invasion. This changed the result of the war, as the Soviet Union did not fall and was able to stay and aid the Allies in their victory. It was the point in the war where the Nazi Party began to lose for the first time and started losing their territorial gains. Therefore, the Battle of Crete was a significant battle to the outcome of the war, as it contributed to the Second World War's major turning point, the failure of Operation Barbarossa. It caused massive destruction and casualties to both sides and was an unsuccessful attempt by the Allies to defend the island. Lasting less than a fortnight, the battle left many significant impacts all around the world. Thank you for joining us tonight on our special coverage. We hope to see you tomorrow. Good night.